What's up, gentlemen? Today we're going to be doing a top 10 non-nano unit ranking. Please do keep in mind that this is for the current level cap of 46. And some of the units included on this list are actually boss drops, because technically they are also non-nano, and some of them are serious contenders. Starting off, we have a couple honorable mentions. We have the Raider Cannoneer. The Raider Cannoneer is a solid artillery troop that you unlock at level 16 at the Raider training camp for a bit of steel and between 5 and 7 skulls. It does a pretty decent amount of damage and has an alright amount of health, but with the healing cost, it is a little pricey, with it costing 1 to 2 skulls. The Cannoneer also competes with the TF2 Soldier and falls short in a couple different ways, with the price, AoE damage, no DOT, only having a flat 5% crit rate with no bonuses. It's still a pretty solid unit to have, and can dish out some pretty good damage early on, but it doesn't quite make this list. Next up we have the Tank Killer, which you unlock at level 27 and costs some steel and 4 to 5 gears. I know this is pretty controversial, putting it in this spot in honorable mentions, but other than it being good for one of the first ways for defeating the AC non-nano, it's not one of those units that you'd have in every formation. The cooldown on its best attack is very lengthy, and even though it does do a gigantic amount of damage, having to wait 8 turns while it just sits there doing jack shit is a bit sad. It also has decent dodge, but has no armor, with not really that much health either, and if it dies it costs a gear or 2, so it's kind of an expensive risk to take while using it in normal formations. Lastly, for the honorable mentions, we have a unit that we just unlocked, and it is the Lightning Dragoon. The Lightning Dragoon is unlocked at level 46 and costs a chunk of steel and between 11 and 15 bars, which up front is a bit expensive for a troop unit, but to make up for it, it only costs steel and gold to heal. As a unit, they're definitely pretty good, dealing an alright amount of damage over a large area with the first attack, having a good crit bonus against vehicles, and on the second attack, causing guaranteed stuns. But where this unit really shines is actually with the friendly SP raids. You can help your friends rank up their units because of just how much SP these things drop. It is unknown if Madrona is going to bring back SP drops or raid parties like how it was back in the day, so we'll just have to see. Now, first up at number 10, we have the TF2 Soldier. You unlock this unit at only level 13 for a small amount of wood and some iron, but it is an absolute powerhouse when you unlock it and still can hold its ground even till mid to somewhat late game. It deals a decent amount of damage with some good fire DOT, but its trick that it has up its sleeve is the plus pattern on its rocket launcher attack. It does consistent damage throughout the entire plus pattern, and when you take it into consideration and its crit bonuses and the DOT, it's actually a pretty damn good unit. The only downsides is the healing cost costing iron and 1 to 2 bars, which if you heal them early on you can actually soft lock yourself from doing naval. The other thing is that they don't get any armor until R6, which to be fair, the Raider Cannoneer never gets armor, and even at R6 the soldier has more health than it has at level 4. It's all around a pretty good support unit, and oddly cheaper to make more new ones than it is to heal the dead ones, which totally makes sense, Z2. Next up, at number 9, we have the Frontier Chucker, which you unlock at level 37 and costs steel, merits, and a tiny bit of stone. The Chucker is very similar to the Raider Cannoneer, dealing a little bit less damage, but instead has a huge base crit of 70% at R6. They are a bit expensive to train with them costing merits, but compared to the Raider Cannoneer, it is cheaper, plus the fact Chuckers only cost a little bit of steel and gold to repair. They're all around a great unit, and on top of them being very solid, they also give a decent amount of SP with the friendly SP raid parties, so it has that going for it too. Now, at number 8, we have none other than the Mighty Field Asian. You unlock this little guy at level 25, and they cost some iron and 3 bars. Field Agents are extremely good at taking out large groups of enemies with their EMP and their nerve gas attack, while also stunning them in the process. Their pistol attack is also pretty damn strong. having a decent amount of damage and also a very solid crit rate at 30%. They are the ultimate early game non-nano farming unit. The only downside is that they are a little expensive to heal, costing iron and 1 to 2 bars, plus they don't have a ton of health or dodge, but their stun can definitely help keep the enemies from attacking and keep them safe most times. It's a bit tempting to get these guys right when you unlock them, but it's better to save your bars for starting naval, then come back and train 5 to 10 once you have a steady supply of bars. Moving right along, at number 7, it is the unmanned machine gun turret. This is another unit that we unlocked somewhat recently at level 42, and they're one of the best spam units in the entire game. They only cost gold to train and are extremely similar to the heavy, if not better, because of their armor piercing and cheap spammability. They deal a very solid amount of damage, and when they crit, it can reach up into the 300s. They're super easy to rank up and only cost gold and oil to heal, meaning if one dies, it really doesn't matter at all. And you're gonna have like 200 of these things anyways, so you can just keep going. Another great characteristic is they count as a defense slot, so it won't hurt tossing 1 to 2 of them in a formation. I think these will definitely be pretty damn useful in boss strikes for just a cheap 1 to 3 wave clear suicide mission, maybe with some wimps or some other cheap spammable units. Speaking of wimps, that's going to be number 6 for today. You unlock these at level 12, and they only cost gold to produce and to heal. I know that this is quite low to be putting the wimp, and it's mainly that the wimps are really damn good, but they take an eternity to rank to 6, and later on they become less and less viable. They do dish out a retarded amount of damage against soldier units, especially when they crit, and they will be great in boss strikes for just a cheap formation, but for actual usage later on, they become less and less usable. A lot of the enemies have a bit of crushing resistance, so their attacks start doing less and less damage. That and the fact that them being at R6 means that if you continue to use them, it will cuck your SP rates because they can't gain anymore. Outside of all of that, wimps are still pretty decent and can be a great frontline unit when you don't want to use tanks or anything that's more expensive to heal. Now at number 5 we have the Battleship Raptor class, otherwise known as the R1. You unlock these at level 26, and they cost steel, oil, and 4 to 5 bars to produce. They are the best trainable naval unit in the game, and are pretty damn good, all things considered. They're nowhere near M10 status, but their damage output with both attacks is really good for a non-nano unit, and they can be a somewhat good replacement for M10s in the harder naval missions, or even against the Dreadnought or the Kraken. But you do have to rank them up to 4 or 5 for that. They also cost about the same as an M10 to repair, just some steel, oil, and 1 to 3 bars, which isn't that bad. Another interesting part is that their health at level 8 actually goes over 1,000, which is pretty damn insane for a non-nano unit. Next up, at number 4, we have the Portable Wall, which you unlock at level 35, and they cost steel, oil, and between 14 to 20 gears. Now this does seem a bit pricey, but when you compare this to the heavy tank, they are actually almost the exact same price, but the wall is slightly cheaper. You also get significantly more health with the wall, but as a trade-off, the wall has no damage resistances, so some attacks can shred them. They also can't attack anything, obviously, because it's basically a beefier version of the sandbag pile. They also are a bit more expensive to heal compared to the heavy tank, costing steel, oil, and 2 to 6 gears compared to the 1 to 3 gears that the heavy tank costs. Other than that, though, they are a very solid and tanky non-nano frontline unit. It can be a huge help in boss strikes when your other frontline units are dead and are healing. Breaking into the top 3, we have the Kraken Tentacle. Now this is actually a 5% boss drop from the Kraken. It's basically one of its tentacles, but it does absolute shitloads of damage. At rank 7, it can do up to 1400 damage on a crit, plus breach on top of that. The only caveat to this unit is the prep time of 3 turns, which really does hurt its full potential. but to be fair, it is kind of balanced because of how much damage it can actually dish out in a singular turn. It is also pretty cheap to repair, only costing gold and 2 to 6 teeth. It's all around a pretty damn good unit, although the 3-turn prep is shiesty. Now at the number 2 spot, we have none other than the buoy. You unlock the buoy at level 26, and they cost steel and 3 gears to produce. You could honestly swap this with number 1 or number 2, because if you're new to naval, do not underestimate these things. Even though they look like they have low health, they are absolute fucking tanks and are a godsend in almost any naval encounter or naval boss. It is definitely one of those units you want to make like 15 to 30 of, just so you have extra in case some of them die. Because that one glitch where they don't actually ever fully die got patched, so you do have to watch out for that. They are pretty damn cheap to repair though, only costing a little bit of gold and a tiny bit of steel. They are all around seriously one of the most useful and important naval units in the game. They make the game so much easier. Finally, at number 1, we have the Ironclad. This is another boss drop, but this time it's from the Dreadnought. You have a 5% chance to get this unit, and it is an absolute beast. Its single target damage is fucking crazy, along with only having a 1-turn cooldown on it, so you can just shred a high health target or annihilate smaller enemies. Its other attack is kind of like the M10's broadside, but the damage focus is in the middle instead of at the front. This unit is also insane against the Dreadnought, which has made it one of the most sought after boss drops in the entire game. It also has really good health and armor, and is immune to breach, which is a nice bonus. It is a little expensive to heal, costing steel, oil, and 3 to 11 gears. But honestly, that's not really even that bad for what you're getting. I've personally been on a hunt for this fucker, and unfortunately it hasn't gone my way, but thankfully Endless came through with his 2 ironclads so I could show off how ridiculous this thing is to you guys. But on that note, I think that's going to be it for this ranking. If you think I missed something, or you just want to discuss other units that you think should have been up there, please let me know down below. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys have any ideas for future content or future videos, also let me know down below. But for now, I'll see you guys later. Also, I'm sorry this video took so long to come out to you guys. I had food poisoning and it kind of fucked me over for a couple days, but we made it work.